This is Rich Walkus coming to you for Flood Talk from H2O Partners USA. Here today to talk to you about my second favorite flood insurance coverage item, appurtenant structures. Now, normally in the NFIP we write one policy per building. If you have 5 separate buildings, you normally will have 5 separate policies. But there is an exception. And the exception to the one policy, one building rule is found only in the dwelling policy form, not in the general property form and not in the RC BAP. It only applies to one type of appurtenant structure, and that is a detached garage. So what's pertinent about appurtenant structures in the dwelling policy? Only in the dwelling policy can you take 10% of building coverage and apply it at time of loss to a detached garage. Now, this is not additional coverage, it's taken from the limit of building. Let's say Mr. and Mrs. Barton have $100,000 in flood coverage on their home, and they have a flood. Now, at that time, they can take 10% of the $100,000 in coverage, and that's $10,000 for you math majors out there, and move it over to cover damages to the detached garage. And that will leave $90,000 in coverage on Mr. and Mrs. Barton's dwelling. Not a bad deal. Now, this extension of coverage only applies to one detached garage. If you have 2 garages that were flood damaged, well, you can only extend it to one of those garages. To be a garage, it must be big enough to fit a car. If it's only big enough to park a golf cart or a motorcycle, or if you remove the garage door and put up a wall in its place or make it too small to fit a car, well, then it's no longer considered a garage and it's not eligible for this extension of coverage. And this clause in the dwelling policy is very specific about what a garage needs to be used for. If the garage is used or held for use for residential, business, or farming purposes, well, then it ceases to be eligible for this extension of coverage and must be insured separately. Now, sometimes people turn these detached garages into mother-in-law cottages, adding a bedroom and putting mom in there.
Hello.
Anyway, if someone does that to their detached garage, turns it into a residential building, then it is ineligible for this coverage extension. Now, the garage can have a bathroom and even a kitchen and still be considered a garage and eligible for this extension of coverage. They just can't live there and turn it into a residential unit. The same thing is used for any farming or business purposes like storing inventory, like Elvis wigs, for instance. It would be ineligible. It can only be used for parking and or storage. What if that appurtenant structure is ineligible for the coverage extension rule? What if it has been turned into a residential unit? Can you still get insurance on it? Why, sure you can. You just have to write a separate policy for it. Oh, and one last thing. If, and I repeat, if you have purchased contents coverage, the contents in the detached garage will be covered. Now, once again, the detached garage can only be used for parking a car and storage. Storage of items that you would normally find in a garage, like gardening and automotive tools and supplies and such. Now, if you run a business out of your garage, say, turn your garage into, let's say, a woodworking wood shop, you'll need to get a separate policy to cover that building and contents. And thanks to all of you for watching. This is Rich Walkus saying so long for Flood Talk from H2O Partners USA.